I know you didn't ask, but I'm going to tell you anyway. Your electricity is about to go up, not because ESKOM needs the money, not because of coal prices, but because of NERSA, the energy regulator, made a mistake and you have to pay for it. Let me explain. A few weeks ago, NERSA, the National Energy Regulator, calculated how much money ESKOM is allowed to make over the next 3 years. They approved tariff increases, 12.7% this year, then 5.3% next year, then 6.1% the year after. But then ESKOM checked the numbers and they found a big mistake. NERSA forgot to carry over the opening balance from the previous period when calculating depreciation. They messed up the regulatory asset-based calculations, basic accounting errors. ESKOM said, you shortchanged us by 107 billion. NERSA looked at it and said, okay, you're right, we messed up. We owe you 76 billion. 76 billion because of their mistake. So what did they do? They tried to settle behind closed doors. In July, they agreed on 54 billion. Let's split the difference. Nobody needs to know. But AfriForum and the Minerals Council took them to court, and the High Court in Pretoria said, this 54 billion rand number is thumbs up. You can't just make up numbers, go back and do it properly. So NERSA came back on December 30th, literally 2 days before New Year. They released a consultation paper, and the number, 76 billion rand, the full amount, 40% more than the secret settlement they tried to do. We have until January 21st to submit objections, and it's happening literally when no one's paying attention. And by the 30th of January, NERSA will make their final decision. And whatever they decide, you pay for it through higher electricity tariffs. If they stick with 76 billion rand, your electricity bill doesn't go up by 5.3% next year. It goes up by 8.7%. That's an extra 3 to 4% increase on your electricity bill every year. So it'll keep going up gradually. To cover NERSA's mistakes, the people whose job is to regulate ESKOM and make sure the numbers are correct, and one staff member got suspended. That's it. But you're looking at a 76 billion rand bill. So if you're wondering why your electricity bill keeps going up, even though there's no more load shedding, it's this. This is why. NERSA made a mistake and we have to pay for it. Happy New Year.
Luna, the year has started, ne? And already they're trying to fuck us over as South Africans. So here's what happened. And the reason why I say that they are fucking us over, and by they, I mean ESKOM and NERSA, is that not only are they going to drastically increase electricity prices, but because of that increase, it's going to affect the cost of everything else. Because not only does that increase affect us as the everyday consumer, the everyday person, but it also affects businesses. And what do businesses do when they want to compensate for a price increase in stock or electricity or whatever? What do? They increase the price of their product. So that means everything else is going to be expensive because electricity is tied to everything in our economy. So how did we get here in the first place? This is between NERSA and ESKOM. So now ESKOM, whatever, they sell electricity, nothing new. Now NERSA is this like regulatory body that does licensing or handles licensing. It handles things like tariffs and what, right? So what happened between the two is that when NERSA was trying to figure out how much ESKOM is allowed to increase prices by, they messed up the calculation some way, somehow, and then ended up shortisering ESKOM by billions. Now ESKOM claims that they are shortised by 76 billion. And then NERSA came back and they were like, yeah, no, we fucked up, but it's actually by 44 billion. Then they had their little talks and settlements and whatever, and then they decided that, you know what, it's 54 billion. We'll decide on that amount. We'll agree that you guys shortised us by that amount, and we need to be paid back that amount. So now, ESKOM's like, what are you guys going to do to fix it? NERSA's like, hey, listen, guys, what we're going to do is that we're going to allow you to increase your increase on electricity. Meaning that because ESKOM was already going to increase the electricity, because of this mistake, that increase is going to now increase even more. Now, the reason why it is bad is because electricity is expensive enough as it is without the current increases that were going to be added. Now, when they decide to add an additional increase on top of that, we are essentially paying for a mistake made by NERSA and a mistake that occurred between these two entities. And essentially, it has nothing to do with us. We're already being held by the neck when it comes to electricity costs without any of the increases for the current and the next year. And then they're going to add on top of it. So not only will it affect us as the everyday customer, but businesses are also going to be affected, which means that the increases are going to be incorporated with their prices, making everything else more expensive. So everybody's fucked. So essentially, they are making us pay for a mistake that we didn't make and we had nothing to do with. So this is to my point, what can we do about it? Okay, so here is the screenshot. I think they made a bit of an error there at the closing date, because they say its closing date for the submission of comments is 21 January 2025. But then if you go to the beginning of the article, it says 21 January 2026. And then also the date that the article was written was 6 January 2026. So that's a bit of an error, but yeah. And then you send your email to mypd at nersa.org.za, and then you can also send your hand delivered or written comments like a letter to the following address there. So you can state your objections and why you object to this. So you can say something as simple as, I object to this because not only is this unethical and the handling of this process was unethical as a whole, but now we are forced to pay for something that we weren't even part of. We are being made responsible for a mistake that never had anything to do with us. The deadline for this is the 21st of January 2026. Make sure Romela the email. It's as simple as that. It won't even take 5 minutes, guys. Just type a failure, send your objection, done. But we cannot let this increase go through, and we need to be able to exercise our right to use our voice to state why we cannot, because this is going to essentially affect our cost of living as a whole. All of us are affected. It touches everyone.
54 billion rand. Well, that's an error South Africa's energy regulator secretly uncovered months ago. And Tina, as ordinary consumers, could be the ones paying the price. Let's talk about it. Hello guys, Ikamalam Go Prince Mtombeni Umaduma, a founder of Africa for Nuclear. Last week, Wednesday, NERSA, or South Africa's energy regulator, appeared before Parliament to explain a massive error in ESKOM's pricing. An error that could cost us, residents, billions over the next 2 years. Apparently, NERSA identified the mistake as far back as January. So the regulator underestimated ESKOM's cost in its 6th multi-year price determination, also known as MYPD6. As a result, ESKOM could recover an extra 54 billion rand in its 2026-2027 and 2027-2028 financial years. Despite spotting the error, NERSA quietly settled with ESKOM after the utility challenged the MYPD6 revenue decision. And the settlement remained a secret until media reports exposed it. So last week, when they faced Parliament, one of the executives, Unomfundo Maseti, admitted the error and said additional quality assurance steps would be implemented. And the chairperson of NERSA, Uthembani Bukula, confirmed ukuthi the employee responsible was suspended, but emphasizing ukuthi the mistake was clerical and not due to incompetence. But the DAMP rejected NERSA's explanation, stating that consequence management is essential. He said it is unacceptable for ordinary consumers to pay for errors made by state officials. The outer, the AfriForum, entered the chat room and slammed the secretive settlement. But higher electricity tariffs could force people to choose between electricity and food. And it could drive businesses away from South Africa. Consumers are expected to shoulder the cost of this oversight through nearly 9% higher electricity tariffs over the next 2 years. That's according to Outer and AfriForum. Thank you for watching.
So this is the news that came out yesterday. I'm not sure if you saw it, but NERSA has come out and said that they miscalculated, and instead of the price increases over the next 2 years being 5.4 and 6.2, it's actually going to have to be 8.8 and 8.8. So we just had a 12.5% increase, and then we're going to have an 8.8 for next year and an 8.8 for the year after. So that means in the next 2 years, we would have had a total of a 33% increase in electricity. So 2 important messages on this. 1 would be keep watching my videos and learning how to save. And 2, think about splitting up the source of electricity between gas, solar, and municipality as well. Please feel free to comment on this. Please like and share with others.